Hello, and welcome to your favorite bad movie podcast. The only podcast that's brave enough to ask the question, if this movie's so bad, why do you like it so much? We're your hosts. My name is Chris Anderson. With me, I've got my wife, Anna Anderson.
Hello!
And I've got my friend, Greg Bossy.
Hello.
We have a very special guest this week. You may know him as the Halifax Slasher. You may know him as the author of such fantastic books as Immortal Lycanthropes, Apprentice Academy Knights, Apprentice Academy Sorcerers. Is it Sorcerers, Hal? Help me out.
That is correct. Sorcerers.
Yes.
Like
Apprentice Academy Sorcerers. You might even know him as the finest dungeon master of his generation. But I know him as Hal Johnson. How are you, Hal?
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Woo.
Thank you for coming on. It's great to see you. How are you doing today?
I'm very tired today. Yesterday was my daughter's 8th birthday party.
Oh,
wow.
Okay. That sounds like it would be a lot.
It was Oak Ridge Boys themed.
Okay.
That
She's
rules.
obsessed
I remember
with the
you said she had a thing for the Oak Ridge Boys.
It's an obsession.
That's very interesting.
It's hard to find Oak Ridge Boys decorations for, when
Mhm.
last year it was Descendants themed, and Descendants, you can just get a Descendants piñata at any Party City, but Oak Ridge Boys, it's not like that.
No, that seems much more specific.
Right.
Well, I'm sure she'll have almost as good a time as we're going to have in this podcast.
Excellent.
You chose our movie this week, and our movie this week is The Atomic Brain, a.k.a. Monstrosity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for any listeners who have not seen The Atomic Brain, a.k.a. Monstrosity, just a short summary to hold in your mind. Hetty March, a reclusive old millionaire, lures 3 young women to her home with the promise of domestic work, when she actually intends to have the scientist that lives in her basement put her brain into one of their bodies.
Yeah.
Fair enough?
It's accurate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Hal, how did you first come across The Atomic Brain? When I asked you for your favorite bad movie, you went to The Atomic Brain. What was your choice?
Are you asking me how I came to The Atomic Brain, or are you asking me why I chose this movie?
You know what? I want both answers in whichever order you feel works best for you.
Okay. I'll say that I, some years ago at a library book sale, I acquired a set of DVDs that was 100 science fiction movies. I got it for $1.
Okay,
And-
I remember those box
Wow.
sets.
Yeah, to some extent I was ripped off because they're all public domain, but I like having my physical media in case the whole system comes down. I can fire up a generator and watch science fiction movies.
Yeah.
And it was on disc 1. It's on disc 1, side B.
Mhm.
And
Okay, so you made it all the way to side B. I gave up on any of those somewhere around like movie number 1.
well, I did not watch them necessarily in order. It's just that
Okay.
at the end of a long day, and you want to watch a movie, and your wife's like, "I'm really tired," and you're like, "Yeah, this one is only 65 minutes long," and that
Mhm.
that sparks the interest. So
Yeah, that helps.
right. So we watched a lot of those movies, the ones that were below 70 minutes. It's the threshold.
And so this was the pick of the litter.
And this is yes, I mean there's a delicate balancing act, because if the movie is too good, then it can't be your favorite bad movie. But if it's just too bad, you don't pick it, right? So
Right.
this
Yeah.
this toes the line. This is right down the middle of I've walked
this-
razor's edge for so long.
Yeah, it cuts the Gordian knot.
Yes.
I mean, that's not particularly apt because you didn't have to cut that one down the middle. You probably could have cut it anywhere and it would have worked.
It's unclear
anyway.
to me. Right. I read all the background material on the podcast, but I couldn't this part was vague. These paragraphs on why you should choose.
Well, that's fair. And it's been fun. One of the things that I've been enjoying about the show is that people take that prompt in different directions. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I almost chose a different movie. You may recall I waffled because
Yes.
there was another movie that I loved to hate, which is another way to go. And
Yes.
it was
What was that movie?
That was Snowball Express,
Okay.
Okay.
a Disney film from like the late 70s.
Oh, that's a
Sounds
low point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it has Bill Bixby and the guy who's like the high-ranking officer from MASH, Harry something or other.
Sure.
Okay.
I didn't go back and rewatch that, so
Right.
I was busy rewatching Atomic Brain. I'm sorry, I'm not prepared for Snowball Express.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I
I
hated
was
that
just-
movie
No,
as a
no.
child. I hated it, and I loved to hate it. But I don't hate Atomic Brain. I love to love Atomic Brain.
Yeah.
But I'm not blind to its flaws.
Yeah, it's true. I had not seen Atomic Brain before. Had either of you guys seen Atomic Brain before?
I realized about halfway through that I think I've seen the MST3K episode where they did this
Yes,
one.
there is one.
Because
Yeah,
That
there's
makes
some
sense.
I mostly remember the cat parts, which is not surprising.
Yeah.
That's on brand for
Right,
you.
yeah.
Yeah. This was a movie I'd heard of, but I'd never really looked into. I have a tendency to stay away from the black and white science fiction films for whatever reason.
Mhm.
This has made me realize maybe I should not.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
just only
found a
heard of
lot
it.
to love here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
I had
it-
not seen
yeah.
it before. I don't believe. If I had, it would have been on Mystery Science Theater 3000, and but I don't think that I have seen it. But I do think that it did make a very big impression on me. I generally also am with Greg in that the 1950s sci-fi is sort of an unexplored territory for me.
Yeah.
And there might be a rich vein there. And I think one thing that helped a lot with this is that we were able to watch the 4K restoration on Tubi and an improved image quality. This was actually kind of a nice looking film.
Yeah.
I wish I had realized that there was a restored version of it on Tubi. I watched it on YouTube and it looked horrible.
Yeah, I watched it
I'm
on
so
DVD,
sorry.
and it's not the best. I guess I
No,
go
not
back
the
on Tubi.
compression that they had on those 100 movie box sets was brutal.
Yeah.
I recommend tracking down the 4K on Tubi. It's listed as specifically the listing. It's under Monstrosity and specifically in Spanish. Not that it is in Spanish, but it has Spanish subtitles that you can turn
Okay.
off.
So I considered watching a couple of things called Monstrosity, but then I was worried that somehow it just wouldn't be the same one that you watched. And so I was like, I'm going to avoid anything called Monstrosity unless it's just like in paragraphs after the Atomic Brain.
Mm.
Well, next time, don't hesitate to talk it out with us, brother. We're all on
Okay.
the same
All
team
right.
here.
All right. I think it was like it was like a yesterday morning situation where I was like, I need to do this before 10. Let's just go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I get up early, so that's never a problem for me.
Okay, good to know.
Well, let me say, my daughter, who when she's not obsessed with Oak Ridge Boys, she likes horror movies, and
Okay.
it would be irresponsible of me to show her most horror movies. But so what I've mostly done is show her old black and white, like Universal Monsters or these kind of B science fiction movies, and she liked this one. She doesn't like all of them, but she liked this one. And
Okay.
for a long time, that I thought we were the only two humans who ever liked this movie because no one online says anything nice about it. But if you guys have also found a virtue in it, then we've more than doubled my previous estimate.
Yeah. I think in general, we've been coming at this with a real spirit of generosity, and I think that's been really rewarding. And I think if you come at this one with a generous spirit, I think there's a lot here to see.
Oh yeah.
So let's get on to the old context section. How about that?
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Monstrosity, later released as The Atomic Brain to television, came out originally in 1963 and is directed by Joseph V. Mascheli. Mascheli got his start in the military making films, I believe training films. I wasn't able to find out too much information about this portion of his career. He also, once he got out, did a lot of industrial work, making training films and documentaries for industry and
That all
things
makes
like
sense.
that. He mostly worked as a cinematographer. This is the only film that he directed. Even his professional, like feature-length film cinematographer career is not a lot. He only shot 5 features and 1 episode of the documentary television show Danger Is My Business, which appears to be kind of like Mike Rowe's Dirty Jobs, but set in 1958.
How about that?
Yeah, I think they only made like 5 episodes, but he shot one of them. Now, the 3 features that he shot were for famed Grade Z filmmaker Ray Dennis Steckler. Those films were Wild Guitar, The Thrill Killers, and The Incredibly Strange Creatures Who Stopped Living and Became Mixed Up Zombies.
Oh, I've seen that
Oh.
one on MSD3K.
Yeah, Ray Dennis Steckler is
Yeah.
actually pretty cool. I haven't seen his stuff in ages, but I remember when I saw it, I liked it. Now, Monstrosity was initially shot on a budget of $25,000 in 1958, but that budget ballooned up to $40,000. But even that wasn't enough. The production company actually went bankrupt and they had to stop filming. Now, they stopped filming before they got all the footage they needed, so it was pieced together from whatever they had on and off for about 5 years. And that's when it was released 5 years later in 1963. As you might expect, the critics were not kind. Variety, in their review, went for the obvious joke on the film's original title, writing, "Monstrosity proves its name is no misnomer." It went on to say that it was poorly acted, poorly directed, and poorly written, and that it was difficult to distinguish the zombies from the other actors. Zing.
Zing.
Ooh.
Boom.
Well, why bother reviewing B
Yeah.
movies? Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
If you're not
Yeah.
into it, it's not going to work.
This would be the last that anyone really ever thought about the atomic brain until it was screened aboard the Satellite of Love on an episode of MST3K on December 4th, 1993. Even that was not a particularly memorable episode. Writer Jim Vorel ranked it 151st on his list of all 191 MST3K episodes, describing it as interchangeable with many Mad Scientist episodes. Real hater, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Hal, I've got some good news.
Oh, good.
I found some other Atomic Brain fans.
Oh my. Okay.
In 2010, The Atomic Brain, the musical, written by Kevin Fry and Leah Costner, was written and performed. It's described as being appropriate for community theaters and high schools with just 8 roles, many of which are for women, with a contemporary pop flavor on the music. You know, it's like that pop Broadway that they got these days.
It's true, there were a lot of roles for women in this.
Right.
That's
Yes,
true.
this movie definitely passed the Bechdel test. I did snag one of the songs. It will be the closing song for the episode, so everybody
Sounds
stick
good.
around
Okay,
for that.
yeah.
And also in 2017 on Kickstarter, a successful restoration was crowdfunded. So there are enough people who wanted to see Atomic Brain cleaned up and restored. And I think the new restoration looks really solid.
Well, okay. I'll try that again.
Yeah. Hey, it's only 64 minutes out of your day.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, I watched it again today, like over lunch. Now, other sci-fi movies of 1963, just to put a thing in its place. You've got The Nutty Professor,
Mm.
Okay.
The Day of the Triffids,
Oh.
Roger Corman's classic X, the Man with X-Ray Eyes.
A fantastic movie.
Yeah, real solid. You guys seen X?
I have not. No.
No.
I can't recommend it enough. Ray Milland as the titular X, the Man with X-Ray Eyes. It's great stuff.
Okay.
The Crawling Hand. King Kong versus Godzilla.
The original.
Yes. Yeah, not the contemporary one.
Yeah.
Then this was also the year that Doctor Who premiered. If you were a sci-fi fan. So that's my context. You guys.
I guess can I throw in 63 is also The Haunting?
Okay.
Not
That
science
is a good
fiction,
point.
but again,
Yeah.
it's a similar to Gothic scary movie.
Yeah. Very good one.
And Jason and the Argonauts. Let's see.
And I do think Gothic is really the right word for this movie.
Yeah.
Like it really, to me, well, I talk about it in my plot summary, so I'm just going to play the plot bumper.
Oh.
Plot bumper, listen to me. I'm gonna give you the plot summary. Come on, baby, here's the synopsis. Plot bumper, plot bumper.
So we open in a laboratory where we see a scientist, Dr. Frank, hard at work. Narration starts immediately.
Immediately.
And this narration is intense and constant.
And I love it.
What it really hits home is the fact that was added in post. They're like, no one can understand this. We need to explain it. And then they went too far the other way.
Yeah.
That was something that happened in those 5 years when they were trying to piece a movie together.
Well, it's also clear that the first 10 or 12 minutes didn't really need to be there either. It's
yeah.
They're really tacking things on, and
yeah, there's a lot of preamble here.
it's only 12 minutes, but that is 1/5 of the running time.
It also struck me as a lot of fear mongering about organ transplant, which maybe was not the intention, but it was very much just if they're gonna put a man's heart in another man's heart, what if they put a cat's brain in a woman's body? It's why would they? What?
Yeah.
It starts you worrying about brain transplants, and the narrator goes right to vampires.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
You knew you were going to be worrying about mad scientists, but you're I don't have to worry about vampires too.
Yeah.
Really adds on to the fear.
And yeah, I wrote down some of the narration here because I think it's important that the listeners get what the vibe was. So the narrator intones, in the ancient folk legends, tales are told of blood-sucking vampires.
There they are.
Crawling out of graves to live on bodies of helpless victims. Is man now doomed to produce a race of ever-living monstrosities, titular line, worse than vampires of legend? Will ruthless men and women of great wealth and power buy and steal the bodies of the young and beautiful so that their brains may live on forever?
I think it's important to note that over this melodramatic voiceover, there's just a guy puttering around.
Right.
Lab,
and moving knobs and switches and lots of nice little analog clicky-clacks.
Sometimes looking through a portal.
Yeah.
He's got a window he just peers through.
Well, what I like about this narration is by saying this is like vampires, I think it establishes what they're trying to do is to create a new gothic romantic monster in the veins of a Dracula or a Frankenstein that would instead be an old lady that wants to transfer her brain into the hottest lady she can find. And she's got this mad scientist assistant who she's paid off with her great, if you told me that this was, based on a Bram Stoker short story, I would believe you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think, and I don't want to jump ahead in plot, but I guess what distinguishes this movie for me, what makes it pulpier than Gothic, is the amount of this excess. And I guess there we can all name Gothic novels that have a lot of excess, but they keep piling things on. So in this house, not only is there like an atomic reactor in the basement, but there's a man with a dog brain, and soon there's going to be a cat lady and a catatonic walking around lady who's just has no brain and shuffles about aimlessly. And I mean, if you are a trio of domestics arriving at a house, that's an awful lot to have thrust at you. And any one of those things would be weird enough, but it just keeps coming, and it doesn't stop. I mean, there's more to come, right?
Oh yeah. And that's one of the things that I think really works for Atomic Brain, is that it has so many ideas, and it just keeps on throwing them at you. You don't have time to get bored,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the man with the dog brain also grows, gigantic fangs and a dog face somehow. That's what dog brains do to you.
It's true. Mind over matter.
That's right. Science.
I mean, I couldn't help thinking, honestly, during the whole opening narration about wealthy people and vampires and stealing the blood of the young and beautiful. I'm like, oh, it's Peter Thiel, right? That's how you say his name. That's a thing.
Yeah, he's putting young people blood in his veins.
Yeah. That's not the other guy who was like on his son's blood, but he says he's not doing it anymore. Not the guy who claims to be on non-feminizing estrogen.
Okay. Not that weird billionaire, a different one. That's also sucking people's blood.
Yeah.
Now we see Dr. Frank puttering around his lab. Now there's a large chamber in the middle with a little porthole, and inside we see a nude woman strapped to an upright table. And these straps are placed in such a position that I feel like I can see this woman's vagina. I feel like it is the strap is too low and too thin. It is. You see a lot of this poor lady.
This movie isn't like overtly horny, but there's just a little.
It's very horny.
Well, okay, yeah. In the way of B movies, I think there's this little frisson of horniness running through it, and the first thing is the unnecessarily low slung pubic strap on the zombie.
Well, it's very seedy.
Yeah.
Even like the lady with no brain, right? The gigolo fellow comes in and says like, "Oh, a human lady with no brain. This could come in handy," right? He has this. He's excited. I mean, too bad she gets eaten before anything dirty can happen.
Yeah. The world's loss.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it seems things don't go great with this nude body because she rapidly gets turned into a skeleton. And Frank is soon off to the cemetery to find a fresh corpse.
As one does.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do for science.
Yeah.
This is how they did in jolly old England.
I do love that this is like a thing in every movie that needs corpses. It's like we're not getting corpses fast enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we need a corpse tonight. So let's just go and get us a corpse tonight.
Well, that's the Burke and Hare, the Burke and Hare murders from
Resurrection Men.
19th century England. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also very Gothic romantic, I want to say.
Right.
Now,
Robert Louis Stevenson did a short story, The Body Snatcher, on this kind of stuff.
Yep.
So he does find a relatively fresh corpse and is almost caught by a graveyard night watchman, but his assistant, Hans, the man with the dog's brain for a brain, kills the watchman first. The important thing about Hans is that he has a dog's brain. Doesn't seem to bother him too much, though. He is maybe a bit of a grumpy dog. Doesn't seem to like people very much.
He does murder almost everyone he encounters.
Yes.
Yeah.
He does. He's a bad dog, I'm going to say.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
definitely. He's
Well-
not a good boy.
Well, he has a bad owner. I would say.
Yeah,
That's fair. That's
yeah.
fair. That's fair.
I always say you own the dog you deserve.
But Dr. Frank doesn't want him to murder it. Like he's not actually. I think he's annoyed when whenever the dog murders someone.
Yeah.
Which
he
is
doesn't want
ironic
the
because
dog
he
to
wants
murder.
dead bodies so much.
Right, but you murder a night
They can't be
watchman.
mauled. They
Who's
can't
going
be
to put
mauled.
a brain in the night watchman? Like that doesn't make sense. How sexy is he?
I mean, you put the cat's brain in the night. You're putting brains in everything. This doesn't have to be your final brain. This is another test process brain.
Well, he left the night watchman behind.
Yeah, they
It's
leave
true,
the
they
night
also-
watchman behind.
They also do only test on, like, obviously they're not the ones that are going to be used for the final product, but it's still just like, we couldn't just get anyone to test. We had to get people here, choose amongst them, and then the ones who didn't win, they become the tests, which I
Yeah.
also appreciated.
Win. It's good.
So they load the stolen corpse in the car. And also the other problem leaving the night watchman there is they're also leaving behind evidence of their murder.
Why didn't they put the night
which-
watchman in the grave that they just plundered? I think that would be.
Yeah, really late. I think that's the real problem with a lot of these of the film in general, is that the characters seem to not take a lot of very obvious solutions to their problems. Which is not to say that real people don't do that, but it's frustrating to see on screen.
He gets chewed out for it, though, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Nobody's perfect. Back at the house, we finally meet Hetty March, a wealthy old woman, and Victor, her younger but still past middle-aged assistant. We also meet
And
her cat.
lover?
Yeah, explicitly a
he's
gigolo.
her boy toy.
They say he's a gigolo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Middle-aged gigolo.
She could do better.
We also meet her cat Xerxes, who will be surprisingly important to the plot. Hetty and Victor discuss their plan to lure 3 young women to the home under the false pretenses of needing a domestic servant, when her actual plan is to have Dr. Frank put Hetty's brain in the hottest lady's body. And they're specifically talking about looking at pictures of them along with the resumes, and he's like, no, these women are hot. Don't worry about it.
Well, and they've attached their measurements too.
That's right.
Yeah, as was the style at the time.
Yes.
I imagine.
Yeah, I'm going to become a house cleaner. Here's my bust size, etc.
In case you need to buy me a uniform.
Fair deuce.
Now, the two of them head down to Dr. Frank's lab, which is in the basement of her house. And
That old lady goes a lot of stairs, right? She really.
Yeah.
Watch how many stairs she does in this movie with a cane.
Yeah.
I'd be tired. I don't know. She commits.
And yeah, but she also has a wheelchair at the very top of the house. Her mobility seems to vary greatly, and they don't seem to be.
I'll be honest, as somebody who has limited mobility, that actually seems very like she has the chair on the floor where she primarily lives, because it's easier
That
for
makes
her to get
sense.
around. But she can walk, and she can, if motivated, make it all the way down those stairs with her cane. Like, that seems totally plausible to me. Of all the things in this movie.
I was thinking of the wheelchair as like the long distance thing, and you'd want to have it on the ground floor in case you wanted to go out, but maybe she doesn't go out a lot.
She might have another wheelchair
somewhere. She's a millionaire.
She's rich.
Right.
She should have a wheelchair on every floor and an elevator in her dang house.
Yeah. And someone to carry her around. But go on.
Yeah. Now, anyway, they want to check on Dr. Frank to see if he's perfected his process yet. He reveals that he has successfully brought last night's corpse back to life, but the brain damage was too extensive to accept a brain transplant. So she just sort of wanders around the office in a gossamer white dress. Once again, very gothic romantic.
No need to watch her.
She's like the chicken whose name I don't remember, who survived for 18 months after most of his head got chopped off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it is interesting that he's like, I have defeated death. Does anybody want to talk about that? But no one seems particularly impressed.
No.
Once again, it just seems odd. It just seems like there's something not connecting some dots here.
Well, he has a speech in which he explains that despite his genius, his ethics were too questionable for the medical establishment. He's kind of gotten himself kicked out, and so they don't even want to look at his nonsense anymore.
Yeah.
So he's just going to keep on doing whatever holds his interest until he's dead, and then maybe they'll discover his notes later. So.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe he'll be like, not only did I defeat death, but I also worked out that brain transplant I was talking about.
I mean, he'd take the Nobel Prize Committee's brains and put them in all sorts of like starlings and ferrets. Then I think they'll notice.
Yeah,
that's fair.
By the way, is it okay that we're interrupting you this much? I don't know.
No, frankly, interrupt me more.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. We then cut to the bus station. We're finally introduced to our prospective domestics. Beatrice from England, busty, real good time gal.
Intermittently has attempts an accent. Intermittently.
Yeah. Her accent is so bizarre. Like every now and again, I was just like, "Where are you from? Are you from?"
He was kind of trying to do an imitation of Tim Curry as Frankfurter and not succeeding. It was
the
Neighbors. Do you have any neighbors?
I was getting real big Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins vibes, but like only from every other sentence.
Yeah.
You know, the old lady who's actually in Mary Poppins.
Oh,
yeah.
She's the lady that Dick Van Dyke is singing couplets to, and she's like Miss Persimmon or something, and he doesn't finish. He's the one that she never gets a song. Dear Miss Persimmon, and then the wind comes in and he starts talking about Mary Poppins instead. She leaves in disappointment.
Oh yeah,
that's the old lady.
That's tough.
Yes, it's her one line. Yes,
she would crush that.
Yeah, she did a good job.
This lady was born to play an old lady. She was only 58 when this was filmed.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we got our domestics. That's where I left off with the domestics. We got Busty B. Then we got Nina Rhodes from Austria. Her accent a little bit better because that actress is actually from Austria.
Well, she's from East Prussia.
Okay.
I mean,
I thought she sounded like
it's not Austria.
She's from Milwaukee.
No, it's not.
No, she was born in Königsberg, East Prussia.
Yeah, but is her accent at all?
No, her accent. Yeah, it's very strange. She doesn't sound. I was very surprised to learn that she's actually at all German.
But I think most egregious of all, we have to agree, is Anita, who is from Mexico.
Yeah.
Just somewhere in Mexico, apparently. And boy, her accent is rough.
And when she said her last name was Gonzalez, I was like, really? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And frankly, a very bizarre decision because they could have easily had for all of them be like, I'm from Sacramento.
Right.
There's no reason for them to be pointed.
Well, they explicitly say they were trying to get orphans from another country so that nobody could track them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's ways to do that without making them have to do these horrendous accents all the time.
Yeah. It just seems sloppy. You know, if you don't have the cast, you got to change your plan, I think. Now, Beatrice, she wants to go to Hollywood. Anita doesn't speak much English. And Nina just seems sort of cagey. And those are their vibes.
Nina.
Yeah.
Crazy, yeah. Very German-sounding name, Nina.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Victor
she's ostensibly the
up.
protagonist, right? She's our main character.
I actually had trouble figuring out who the main character was. I'm guessing it's her, but it almost feels like this movie doesn't have a main character.
I mean, for me, she's the viewpoint character that when you come in...
I think you're looking at it the wrong way. She's not a viewpoint character. She's a final girl.
Okay, that's also true.
Yeah.
She is our survivor. Now, and that's why she's so cagey. Now Victor picks them all up at the airport and explains that yes, Miss March is in fact hiring 3 domestics from 3 different countries, and yes, they are all going to work together in her creepy remote mansion in the hills
with no neighbors.
That's right.
It's true. Upon their arrival, Hetty introduces herself to the crew, doesn't seem particularly interested in endearing herself, not interested in keeping up a cover at all.
Yeah.
Like, take off your clothes.
Mhm.
You two live in the basement. She orders the doc to give them a full inspection.
Very normal.
Yeah.
Gigolo tries to come along, right? He's really
Yeah.
interested
Yeah.
in this, and she has to give him the boot, right?
Yeah. I think Hetty says something along the lines of like, "Oh, aren't I a spoil sport?"
Yes,
No,
that's right.
you can't stare at the girls while they're changing. But the doc does find a large birthmark on Anita's back. So Hetty's like, nope, no birthmark. Straight to the basement.
That's a deal breaker.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
B,
I like that
on the
it's
other
on her
hand,
back where the old lady would never even see it, right? It's just,
yeah, but
Well, yeah.
but she's thinking about getting railed, and like it's very explicit that she wants to be young and fuck.
yeah.
By the end
It's
of this
true.
film, they make
Yeah.
that very clear.
Yeah, that's true.
B, on the other hand, she has no birthmarks and is stacked in the front and the back, so she is Hetty's pick.
She's got, whenever B is wiggling her butt or semi-nude or on screen mostly, the music starts going all not what am I trying to say?
There's like a xylophone.
Yeah,
It gets like
yeah.
slinky.
It's like
Right.
I wrote down her music is like Peter and the Wolf, but the wolf is by Tex Avery.
Okay, good.
Ah.
Yeah.
Now, they get sent to their rooms. B gets a nice palatial suite, while Anita gets stuck in the basement, and we never see Niner's room. But you
It's
can
in the
assume
attic. She has to go all
it's
the
in
way
the
to the attic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the staircase is brutal. Like that is a
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
These are
they got
those
this
shots
big
of-
spiral staircase. Nina had already asked to leave because it has immediately become apparent that Miss March is going to be a terrible person to work for.
I mean, she
And
tries.
she
to
just
quit
keeps
a
saying,
lot.
"We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later."
I mean, she's
which is
she's
not
like
what you want to
polishing
hear.
her knickknacks while still being like, "I just want to quit," but she still polishes the knickknacks.
Yeah,
She's a good worker.
I mean, she needs the recommendation.
Right.
And also Ms. March does say like, I've got your green card paperwork, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, very relevant to today. And one thing that this movie reminded me of a lot was Get Out.
Right.
And this similar, body snatching by the upper class.
I kind of assumed that it was riffing off this movie when I saw Get Out, although I don't know if that's plausible.
Interesting.
It's entirely possible.
It is. Yeah.
Now, Nina tries to phone for help.
It's their fault for making up a name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Victor has cut the phone lines. That night, Hans, the dog-brained boy, attacks Anita in the basement. This is unfortunate for Anita because she dies. But it's very fortunate for Dr. Frank, who gets a fresh corpse. He loves fresh corpse.
Hooray!
The next day, B and Nina are polishing some silver. Even if they're there under false pretenses, it might as well be useful. Hetty yells at B, though, because she might stain her beautiful hands with silver polish.
Oh, I did not understand what was going on there. She's like, she doesn't want her fingerprints on the tray? But now I understand
No.
she doesn't want her hands blemished because she needs to be in a hot body.
Yeah.
Right. It could be worse. She could get muscles in her legs. The other great sin.
She does later on yell at her for going up a flight of stairs, saying, "Yeah, you'll ruin those beautiful legs of yours with too many muscles."
Interesting. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it's a great line. The gals talk to each other, and they realize they haven't seen Anita all day. They go down to her basement room, and they find out that her stuff is still there, even though Ms. March told them that she left. It seems like, at this point, Hetty and Frank are running just kind of a really sloppy operation here.
Extremely sloppy.
It all feels very half-baked. I think if you were to remake this as a modern film, you'd want to tighten this up. And that way also you could stretch out your runtime past 64 minutes. Give this something that feels a little more organic.
Right.
Bee and Nina get so spooked by this that they plan to run away. Meanwhile, Dr. Frank has successfully put Xerxes' brains in Anita's body. And poor Xerxes is floating in a tank, but still alive.
Kept alive, yep.
Maybe the ideal situation for a cat. Who can say? Bee and Niner pack up and try to sneak out, but Ms. March is up wandering around the house, and the two of them can't figure out to get past this wily septuagenarian.
Yeah, the whole time I was just like, just run or move quickly or push her over.
Yeah, if she's got the keys,
any one of a number of things. Yeah.
They do mention an electric fence at one point. They're not sure how to get through that.
Yeah, but they can definitely just like tie her to a chair. Just manhandle this woman.
Yeah. Gag her and move on.
And there's the dog.
Killed her, stab her in the neck 3 times.
Wow, you really went there.
You know what I mean? Just grind up glass and put it in her food. Come on. She's 70 years old. So to avoid detection, they double back to Bee's room, and then Hetty realizes they're both in there and she locks them in. Hetty then wanders back down to the basement where Dr. Frank reveals that he has put Xerxes the cat's brain in Anita's body. She's a kitty cat girl now.
Yeah.
To prove his point, he releases a live mouse, which Anita promptly catches and eats.
Great scene.
Yeah.
Off screen.
Yeah, and Bee responds, she ate it. Or, I'm sorry, that was Hetty responds.
Mm-hmm.
Outside, Hans, the dog-brained boy, attacks the wandering brain-dead woman who has snuck outside. Dr. Frank catches him, though, and chases him off with a cattle prod before chaining him up outside.
I think he might have done that before. I mean, you have to imagine.
Yeah.
This man he's encountered and killed 3 people in a row.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I was an old lady with a mad scientist in my basement, I might say keep the dog man under a tighter leash. That would be my instruction.
Yeah, especially after this last situation made the news. But Frank doesn't really care until he kills someone that he likes, that being the beautiful brain-dead woman that wandered around his office. Kind of like a fish. Like a little fish.
Yeah. Yep.
She's like a screensaver.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. Now, Bee and Nina, they see the whole thing from their window, and reasonably, now they're getting kind of freaked out. They did just see someone get mauled to death by a dog-brained man.
That'll do it.
And they realize they need to get the car keys from Victor so they can bust out of there. There's also this electric fence situation, even if they could get past the dog man. But with a car, they could just smash through the electric fence. So Bee tries to use her feminine wiles to pickpocket old Victor. Victor then suggests they take things outside. Then Victor gets called back inside by Hetty. Then Anita claws one of Bee's eyes out.
Oh no!
Yes.
Because she's a kitty cat woman.
Yeah.
That's right. And she's got talon-like fingers now, I guess.
Well, she always
a
took
human
good
can
care
do
of her
it,
nails. Yeah.
Fair. That's fair.
Anita took pride in her nails.
And despite the fact that being a dog-brained human gives you dog features, I don't know. And Anita may have grown cat claws, but I think it's established that this is important later, that she is not as good at climbing as she thinks she is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
She has a human body with a cat's desire to climb.
She does not have the vestibular system of the noble cat.
Right. Her tail cannot cause any balancing, whatever it is that, I don't know what makes her fall. Spoilers.
Now, this must have been especially traumatic for Anita, this whole experience, because the next thing we know, Niner sees her up on the roof of the house. As Hans barks from below, Niner slowly crawls forwards on the roof, trying to talk Anita down, and instead, Anita sort of backs herself off the roof and falls off and dies.
I had assumed
R.I.P.
this was just because she's just not as agile as a cat.
Yeah.
And
It's true.
right.
Yeah.
A cat could have survived that fall easily.
Yeah.
Right. She's not landing on her feet, for example.
Yeah. Now, Hetty soon returns from a shopping trip with a bunch of new outfits for her new number one pick, Nina. B has been cast aside after her horrible scarring accident.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Victor comes in to admire Nina while she's trying them on, and Hetty makes it clear that she will not have anything to do with him once she's in her new body. I won't need to fuck an old man like you. I can fuck a young man. And that's what I'm going to be about.
She refers to him as an aged Lochinvar, which is a wonderful mid-century word.
Hetty's probably too willing to make clear how disposable everyone around her is.
Mhm.
Which it's in character. She's consistent about this, but it may haunt her.
But yeah, she is not very good at putting on a facade.
Yeah,
Right.
she reveals too much of herself too quickly.
Yeah, overplays her hand.
She's got to learn to say, "I will not kill you or cast you off."
Yeah.
Just say that occasionally.
Just for a little while longer, till you're in the body.
You want to mention this sometime.
She's a very confident old woman. It's probably all the money.
She's so close to it now that, she can taste it. Now, Nina is still not entirely sure what's going on, but she is sure that it's pretty bad.
She should listen to the narrator.
Yes.
She gets Victor alone, and he explains that Mrs. March is planning to transfer all her funds to Niner, and then transfer her brain to Niner, and then fake her own death, and start over as a millionaire hot 20-year-old.
Boom.
Unfortunately, Mrs. March overheard the whole thing as he was explaining that, so as soon as Niner leaves the room, she stabs Victor in the neck with a hat pin, killing him instantly.
And it appeared that he was trying to, and I'm sorry, Greg, I think you were going to say this, so jump in.
Yeah, it's like he forces her to sign a contract, which I was a touch confused on, but I know it comes back later.
Oh, he has power of attorney over her.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Because he doesn't want to get screwed over again by someone. He wants to make sure that he will not lose financial control. And he was also getting a gun out. I think he was going to take out. Now that Niner was rich, he was going to take out, Mrs. March.
But Mrs. March got to him first.
I mean, that was her killing him was kind of the first justifiable homicide that we've seen.
That's fair. That's fair. That was self-defense.
Yeah.
Now, at that point, Dr. Frank grabs Niner and injects her with a tranquilizer. And then Niner and Hetty are prepared for surgery. Hetty muses, "I've never known what it was like to be loved for my health alone." And that's when you know she's so amped to fuck.
She says myself alone. I
thought she said health.
I think it's myself. It's her money that people...
Yeah, and it's funny because she's talking about how... Yeah, I've never known, everybody's always just wanted my money, and now everybody's gonna want me for my hot bod. I'm not sure what the the hot bod doesn't last
still
forever.
Have the money.
Yeah,
and she'll still have the money, so it's possible that people will still be just with her for the money.
I mean, only if she sends out a press release explaining that her new body is going to be rich. Which
That's
she
fair,
does.
I was going to say she does do that.
She does send a press release.
She does do that. Yeah, there's a lot. There's 2 press releases in here, which is genuinely a lot for a film.
I'm telling you, it's because she's going to get laid. That's what she's excited about.
Yeah,
that's why she makes the transfer of the money obvious. Because before she said she was ugly. She said her whole life she was ugly. It's not that she was pretty when she was young and got ugly when she was old. Now, after that, Dr. Frank puts her under. And he cuts out her brain. And probably my favorite moment in the movie happens during this brain surgery. When you see him standing there, holding her brains in his hands. And then he looks down at Niner and he's like, Then he looks over at the cat in the basin and he's like,
Yeah.
And then he looks down at the brains and he's like, it's crazy. It just might work. It's a really good little moment.
Fantastic.
When his patients come to, Dr. Frank explains that he's probably going to kill Niner anyway. He wants to make sure that he's still getting his funding for his research. He did in fact end up transferring Mrs. March's brains into Xerxes the cat. Now, unfortunately for him, as he prepares to do his next brain transfer, possibly putting somebody else in Niner's brain, I got confused.
He said he would put a different brain in her body, but it's unclear.
Yeah, he was going to put like a loyal... Does he have any friends? Whose brain is he going to put in there? I don't know.
Who knows?
Maybe he was thinking himself, but I don't think he can logistically do that because we saw that someone has to physically hold the brain.
Yep.
So it's unclear, but he gets ready to get it going. And all he does know is that he's got to take her brains out. Doesn't need those anymore. So he hops into his big chamber in the middle of his lab.
Which is explicitly an atomic reactor.
Yeah.
Right? You need atomic
definitely.
power
to
keep
that.
the brains.
Yeah, the sheer electricity that you need to generate for this can only come from the power of the atom.
Yeah.
Right, you can't do it another way.
No.
That's where everyone's been doing it wrong all these years.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why they're not on the same level as Dr. Otto Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but Otto Frank did not realize that his patient, the cat, was now awake and had the brain of a woman that wanted to kill him. And so Hetty, in the form of Xerxes, locks the door on Dr. Frank inside his chamber and then sets off his Chekhov's atomic self-destruct mechanism.
Which I think this is the greatest shot, which is the cat's paw coming down on the button.
No, the cat's paw coming down on the button is truly fantastic.
Yeah, you love to see a paw slamming on a button. Any movie where that happens, that's one.
I think nowadays I would not be impressed. Now I would. That's just de rigueur now. But I think this may be the first time.
I still get that sense of wonderment. This
started a trend.
I also want to say that there was a shot in the very beginning with the door, and I just remember thinking, that's a Chekhov's door. Someone's getting locked in that chamber. The way they showed that door, someone's getting, like, that's going to be the, and then I kind of forgot about it, and then you see the cat slap in the door lock, and I was just like, okay, good, yes, it came back. Good, the door, it was a Chekhov's door.
And it's a Watchmen reference, too, because this is exactly what happens to Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
They riff off a lot of stuff in Atomic Brain.
Now, B has woken from her medically induced coma, whatever was going on, and frees Nina from the bonds of the operating table. But then she gets really excited because she sees an eyeball in a petri dish, and she's like, "Hey, I need an eyeball."
Well, I think that is her eyeball, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's my eyeball.
He kept it. He kept it alive.
My eyeball back.
Right. He's got to get the eyeball back.
The dream. She's living the dream.
She trips and dies.
Did she electrocute herself in attempting to extract the eyeball?
I think
it was kept alive by a current.
Electrocutes herself on her own eyeball. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I read it as she tripped and died.
I thought Dr. Frank was running a current through the eyeball, and it was perhaps more powerful than she had anticipated.
Indeed, the power of the atom.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Nina escapes the house as it explodes, but Hetty is following close behind. The end.
This is an Alien reference, right? This is another one of the great nods they make to classic cinema.
It's true.
Yeah.
So, final thoughts, 5-star ratings. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I thought this was a fun little movie. You know, like not all of the acting was great. Well, most of the acting was not great, I did think that Hetty was very good. And she's like a lot of the movie centers on her desires, you know what I mean? So it was good that she was good. And it was, sometimes some interesting shots. It had a kitty cat in it. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. 4 stars.
All right. How about you, Greggy Weggs?
Okay, so I want to make a point here because this we talk about performances. I don't talk about performances much, and this is something that I feel like came up in the last one. I am genuinely anticipating poor performances. I am in many ways looking for poor performances because I want something that's kind of interesting or out there. I want to see people make bold choices. The narrator's making some bold choices in this one. You know what I mean? And even last week's where the guy was basically had no facial expression, that is in some ways a bold choice, despite the fact that it's also a boring one. But that is what I am in the seat for, is to see people make some mistakes. I feel like this movie makes a lot of them. It was a good time, I felt, but I also feel like for a movie that is so short, it is at times very boring. Like there are just stretches of time where it's just like there's no narration, no one is really doing anything, and it's just like what is happening now? It's just people walking. You know, there's a lot of that, so it feels very like this is not something I would recommend to someone who was like super into bad movies, like that's just getting into them. But if they're looking for like a deeper cut, I think this is a truly fantastic one. But because of that, I'm going to give it 3 stars. But because of the cat slap, I'm going to bump it up to 3.5 because that shot, even out of context, I don't really know how they did it. It just looks like the cat, like it. I don't know if it's a puppet or a real cat, but it looks like the cat is actually acting. It was just that moment was so wonderful.
Yeah.
But generally, I really enjoyed it. It's just I feel like for the person who's looking for a slightly deeper cut.
All right, fair enough. Hal, give us your 5-star rating. Give us your final thoughts.
I'm not blind to the flaws of this movie, and I think that a lot of movies of this type, usually the mad scientist, they get like a quote real actor, right? It's often like Bela Lugosi or George Zucco or somebody who can sell it, and this guy does not.
No,
he's not very good, and that's a problem.
I think he had a great face.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. He delivers his monologues, and maybe the sound is better on the remastered version, but it sounds like he sounds like a high school vice principal, like talking in a gymnasium. And
fair enough.
That's not where you want the fools didn't know my genius, right? You really want him to chew that scenery, and he fails to. For me, there's a lot of. I really sympathize with Nina and this weird situation that she's in. I think that I'm not sure if the actress gives anything or if it's just that she gives so little that I'm able to project myself upon her. But she meets 2 people, and then she's in another country, and all of a sudden one of them is gone. She doesn't know she became a cat lady at first. And then her only friend is getting her eyeball clawed out. It's this horrible situation that's also really weird. And I think that the stuff she goes through is not it. It's all the terror of a new job in a new country in a new house, plus everything is insane, and it's just an insane place. And I really, I think she's kind of plucky in this situation. I really, I don't know if I admire the actress or the character or what, but it makes me think about this situation, and I really love that. And there are a lot of these B movies where it's kind of like there's an eccentric house full of, this is what Rocky Horror Picture Show is kind of riffing off of, right? There's just this house full of weird things, and this is not the only beast man that a mad scientist is goading with a
cattle prod.
Like that's Bela Lugosi does that in in The Corpse Vanishes, right? Also a cool movie, but imagining what this house, like, how does it work, right? Like how before these ladies got here, like the gigolo is like going down to the basement and telling the mad scientist, like, I can't get you any more corpses. Like what is going on? Where does the dog man wander? I really like all of that, and so this movie gives me a world to think about, and because it doesn't give you very much, it doesn't crowd my thoughts out, which I really value in a movie. So this is my 5 stars. I love this film.
No, fair enough. Yeah, I think after our conversation, I'm gonna give this one a solid 4. I think there's a lot to like here. I think it's got really solid bones, and I think the real problem is everything but the bones. It just like, I really like this sort of gothic romantic story that they're trying to tell, but there are just too many plot holes. There's too much acting that's just kind of flat. The accents were kind of funny, but not funny enough to be cool. A lot of it ended up being neither fish nor fowl in terms of liking it as a good movie or liking it as a bad movie. I don't know. What I liked, I think the inside of it was so good. Those bones were so good.
But think about what you're saying here, and this is where the movie in a metatextual way has come behind you and ambushed you, because you want to keep the bones of this movie and you want to put a new brain in. And this is what the movie's about. And it's they've tricked us all.
Like, it just feels like if I did for our segment, our classic fix it segment, how do we fix this segment, this would be an easy one because the bones are so good. All you gotta do is like recast it, put in a couple more scares. And
I will say that as we've been talking, like, all I've been thinking is, like, this is a movie that should actually be remade.
Yeah,
like there is something here that is really interesting, that if someone like had competence and a few like interesting ideas, could turn this into something really, really fantastic, I think.
Well, speaking of competence, I think that's a great lead in to our next segment.
Ooh.
Not just because it features my most incompetently sung bumper.
Okay.
I'm sorry for this one, but you guys, I read a book. I read a book once, it related to this movie. It had a lot of pages, but it was pretty groovy. There's more than one source of information, if you care to take a look. And if you need a resource, you can be like me, because I read a book. Because I read a book.
Changed nothing about that.
I thought that was your
Changed
best one.
Nothing
That's
about
the best.
That. Okay.
Right.
Well, the panel has spoken.
Yeah.
Now, director Joseph Meschelli, has a limited resume on IMDb, but he did make one major contribution to filmmaking. In 1965, his book, The 5 C's of Cinematography, was published and has not been out of print since. American Cinematography magazine wrote, The 5 C's of Cinematography is one of the 3 most important books on cinematic technique ever published.
Huh.
What?
The New York Times wrote, Mr. Meschelli provides the attentive reader with the equivalent of a complete course in filmmaking. And on their website, the American Society of Cinematographers writes that this was one of the most respected books on filmmaking ever published.
Wow.
So I ordered a used copy of it.
Yes.
I was able to get through some of it. It only arrived today. But I thought what we could do, just so I know you're dying to know what the 5 C's are.
Yeah.
Yes.
The 5 C's are camera angles.
Okay.
Continuity.
Yep.
Cutting.
Okay.
Close-ups.
Right.
Composition.
Okay. Those are 5 classic C's.
in his introduction, he writes about the sixth C, cheating.
Ooh.
But he means cheating actors towards the camera, stuff like that. Yeah. He's like, and that's not something you can teach. That's just something you have to learn by doing.
I was kind of hoping that the C's would all be like, if you want to talk about angles, he just calls them like cine angles, and then it's like cine lighting, and just keeps on using cine as a prefix.
Well, maybe you can release the 5 other C's of cinematography.
Right.
Pitch that one to your publisher. But just to hear, like, I wanted to give you guys a vibe of like how sensible, and from what I read, this book seems good. This seems like a type of book that I would have read back in film school and would have been like, okay, this is full of good, common sense, straightforward information that someone should hear. So I was just going to read the introductory sentence from each segment, from each of the 5 C's. So, for camera angles, a motion picture is made up of many shots.
True.
Perfect.
True.
So where's the lie? Then I want to say about 60 pages on camera angles later, we get to continuity. A professional sound motion picture should present a continuous, smooth, logical flow of visual images supplemented by sound depicting the filmed event in a coherent manner.
Yes.
Right.
Where's the lie?
Yes.
That's why he made Atomic Brain.
Yeah, and that's why Atomic Brain is like comprehensible as opposed to a lot of other bad movies. Like you can watch it and follow what's happening, even if it was, incomplete in filming. 80 pages later, we get to cutting. I actually want to read this whole paragraph because I thought it was really good. Film editing may be compared with cutting, polishing, and mounting a diamond. A diamond in the rough state is barely recognizable. The raw diamond must be cut, polished, and mounted so that its inherent beauty can be fully appreciated. In the same way, a film story is a jumble of odd shots until, like the diamond, it is cut, polished, and mounted. Both diamond and filmed are enhanced by what is removed. What remains tells the story. The many facets of the diamond or the movie are not apparent until the final cut.
Okay, I like that.
A diamond in the rough.
Mhm.
And last but not least, close-ups. The close-up is a device unique to motion pictures.
It's true.
Can't do a close-up in theater.
No,
there was one more.
I was going to say, I thought there were...
Yeah, I forgot about composition. The 5th C. Good composition is arrangement of pictorial elements to form a unified, harmonious whole.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. That's a hard one to teach, I imagine. Or speaking as somebody who I don't think never done much visual art at all, but composition has always been something that I just don't even really think about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, if I find it to be illuminating, I'll let you borrow my copy of the 5 C's and maybe it'll help.
I believe Norman Rockwell in the old famous illustrators courses, he had a section where he would give you like 3 images, and you had to like by 3 images I mean like a man, a dog, and a boy or something, and you're supposed to put them in the most harmonious whole, right? You want to compose a picture with these things, and then he would grade you or whatever however that worked. But it was one of his exercises I saw once. I don't know.
Okay.
No,
that sounds like a pretty solid one.
Yeah.
I may have dreamed it.
I bet it's like a muscle that you just work out and then it grows. For some people, it only gets so big, but Anyway, on to the next segment, which I believe is a game.
It's another C. Cats.
That's right. It's time for Trends in Film.
Trends in film, they do happen. Trends in film. Trends in film, that's a segment. Trends in film.
honor of Xerxes, I have some movies with cats in them. I'm going to go one by one, and I will give you the year the movie came out, the kind of cat and its name, and the first name of its owner, and you will guess the movie. I'll give it to one of you first, and then you can steal for a point. All right.
Okay.
Chris, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
This movie is from 1984. There's an orange and white cat named Romeo, owned by Joan.
Owned by Joan?
Joan.
1984. Orange and white tabby.
Not a tabby, an orange and white cat.
Oh. Orange and white cat.
Yeah.
Just good old American house cat. Owned by Joan. You say Joan.
Joan, yeah.
Am I saying that right? Joan?
Yes, you are.
And what was the cat's name?
Romeo.
Did you say? Romeo. Is it Good Morning Vietnam?
Nope. Anybody want to steal?
I can't think of a thing.
All right. It's Romancing the Stone.
God. That makes sense.
Yep.
All right.
I saw that in the theater. First time I had jujubes.
Wow. You love jujubes.
I do love jujubes, and that's my distinct remembrance of that film is like, jujubes are great.
Yeah.
All right. Greg, you're up. 1988.
Okay.
We've got a white Angora cat named Bambi, owned by Valerie.
Is it Look Who's Talking?
It is not.
Okay.
Nope.
Bambi, 1988, white Angora?
Yeah.
Is that The Great Mouse Detective?
Nope. Earth Girls Are Easy.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
These are toughies.
Yeah,
I like it.
Maybe some of the rest of them are easier. All right. Hal, 1992.
So wait, I already know it. It's That Darn Cat, the remake.
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I had a flash. Like I thought I knew it.
1992. A long-haired orange cat named Carmen, owned by Graham.
1992. Carmen,
Mm-hmm.
owned by Graham. 92. These are extremely challenging. The Mighty Ducks.
Nope. Anybody know?
Is it Roxanne?
Nope.
The Truth About Cats and Dogs.
Nope. That is Single White Female.
Oh, classic.
Yeah,
I guess
Graham
I saw
is the upstairs neighbor. Okay.
Yes, of course, the upstairs neighbor's cat. That's where I need to be.
Well, I mean, she's
Jesus Christ.
no. She's pretty important to the plot. Okay. 1958. We have another white Angora cat.
Who is this for?
This is for Chris.
Okay.
Yeah.
1958. Another fluffy white Angora cat named Dandelo, owned by Andre and his family.
Dandelo.
Yes.
1958, owned by Andre and his family. The Bad Seed.
No.
Bell, Book, and Candle?
Nope. That is
The Swiss Family Robinson.
no. That's The original The Fly.
Okay.
There's I guess
I haven't seen it.
I haven't. There's a scene, I guess, where he puts the cat in the thing, and he can hear it meowing, but he can't ever. It doesn't ever recompose enough to show back
I
up.
own it. I've never seen it. I bought the Fly box set, but just specifically for David Cronenberg's Fly. But I figured I got other Flies now. So
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I don't remember the cat, though.
I've heard good things.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Greg, 1987, a brown and black tabby named Burbank, owned by Roger and his family.
1985?
87.
87. Harry and the Hendersons.
Nope.
Adventures in Babysitting.
No. Man, sorry, I thought you guys would know this one. Lethal Weapon. It's Murtaugh's cat.
Oh!
No. Yeah, I was never a big Lethal Weapon guy.
So I'm a huge Lethal Weapon fan. It just... Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'm thinking Naked Gun. Never mind. Yeah. Different. I'm just going to back out now.
All right. Hal, 1965, a stray Siamese named DC.
Wait, is that darn cat the original?
Yes.
Yes, that's... Wow, I knew it! I had this wrong psychic flash, but that's...
Well, I believe your psychic flash also said the remake.
Yeah.
I had it on. I mean, because they said like 90, 93 or something, right?
That makes sense.
I had to change it.
All right.
This is...
You got to pivot.
On the board.
On the board.
All right, Chad. No pressure, then.
All right.
That's what we're talking about.
Chris, 1958, a Siamese cat named Pyewacket, owned by Jillian.
Oh, God. I feel like I know Pyewacket.
Mm-hmm.
Pyewacket. Pyewacket. Owned by Jillian?
Yeah.
The Haunting of Hill House.
No.
Absolutely no idea.
Hal had said it earlier. That is Bell Book and Candle.
Oh, wow.
I think she's...
I'm so psychic.
Yeah, I think Jillian is played by Kim Novak?
Yeah, it's Kim Novak and, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's got Jack Lemmon. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Greg, last chance to get a point. A white cat named Sweetie, owned by Corbin. Oh, and that's 1997.
Oh, this is The Fifth Element.
Yes.
Whoa.
Good job.
Corbin Dallas.
Yeah.
There's only so many people I know named Corbin. And The Fifth Element's one of my favorite films. So as soon as you said that, I was like, I remember that cat.
Yeah, he turns on the TV for her before he leaves. She's a very cute kitty. Okay, last one.
Yes.
Hal, we got 1971, a scruffy black cat named Cosmic Creepers, owned by Eglantine.
That sounds like something I should know. Cosmic. 71. Bedknobs and Broomsticks?
Yes, indeed.
Oh!
Angela
How about
Lansbury's
that?
cat. Yeah.
Whoa.
Cosmic Creepers is a great cat name.
I wouldn't have gotten Cosmic Creepers, but Eglantine was all right.
Okay.
Well, congratulations to our guest on winning the game.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And speaking of congratulations, it's time to congratulate a couple winners of Batty Awards. Now you're messing with the 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 Batty Awards.
Congratulations to all the nominees.
Well, congratulations to all our nominees, but there can only be 4 winners of Baddie Awards tonight. I will give out my Baddie Award first. I'm giving out the Long Con Award to Victor for having the most elaborate scheme to fuck a 20-year-old I've ever seen. My God, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just buy a car or something. You don't need all this. This seems complicated. Who wants to go next?
So I can go.
Yes, Greg.
So I'm going to give my Baddie Award to, I think, the worst Plan B I've ever heard in my life. Which is where, so the dog man kills somebody, and she's like, the cops are going to come snooping around. He's like, don't worry. If the cops come here, I'll just blow up the nuclear reactor, and then it'll be too irradiated for anybody to come in and do anything about it. It's just like, yeah, they're just going to make a Chernobyl in whatever city they're in to cover up Los Angeles, to just cover up this weird scheme to put a brain in someone else's body. It's so intense. It's such a weird, and they're just like, yeah, whatever, we'll do that. Don't even worry about it. It's like, yeah, just a small nuclear reaction in the heart of a major metropolis. No, nothing to be too concerned about.
I mean, it really shows just how desperate these people are.
They're very desperate for that hot body.
Yeah. How about you, Anna? Do you have a Baddie Award?
Yeah, I'd like to give best actress, best performance to the old lady, Marjorie Eaton, who had just a very interesting career. Like, I looked her up and read way too much about her. She started her career as a painter. She hung out in Taos in the 1930s with Frida Kahlo, and she was like,
wow.
She actually, you can find her paintings online. They're quite striking. She did a lot of a Pueblo Indian man named Juan Mirabal, who she saw and fell immediately in love with, and they were I don't know, lovers, and he was her muse, and I don't know. So she had this very cool kind of 1930s artist life, and then wasn't making any money, so she became an actress. And one of her last roles was as Emperor Palpatine in The Empire Strikes Back. I kid you not. She they refilmed it with Ian McDiarmid in 2004 for the DVD, but before then in heavy makeup and voiced by somebody else, but I don't that's her.
That's so crazy.
And they superimposed orangutan eyes over her eyes.
Chimpanzee eyes, yeah.
Wow. Huh.
So
I guess I've been reading the same stuff about her, looking stuff up, and it said that there's some other lady who also did. They also filmed her, and nobody has a consensus on which of the two actresses that did the film they used. Did you see this?
I did, and the interesting. What interested me about that is that's what Wikipedia said. Now Wikipedia. Right. The official Star Wars, they
know more.
Pretty definitive that it is actually Marjorie Eaton and not the other actress who filmed in makeup was Elaine Baker, Rick Baker's wife. But yeah,
how about that?
Yeah,
that's amazing because you're part of Empire Strikes Back. You're like, this is my immortality, unless George Lucas tinkers with it.
Right? Yeah,
yeah, of course.
What are the odds of that?
Yeah.
Well, Hal, do you have a Baddie Award?
Yeah, I guess I'd like to give a Baddie Award to Hans for. I mean, I understand that he murders every single person he encounters.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I guess it's unclear to me. I don't think that they really stress that you shouldn't. After the first murder, he's not really.
He doesn't get chastised.
You got to rub the dog's nose in that murder, right? And
yeah.
And he's left chained up to die in an atomic explosion, apparently. And to some extent, this is just in the sense that he is a serial murderer and he seems to like be eating people after he kills them. But I feel bad for this guy. I think that he could have they could have made it clearer that he was not supposed to just kill everybody, and nobody did.
Yeah, it's fair.
Poor Hans. Yeah.
All right, in memoriam, Hans.
Yes.
Well, we made it to the end of the show, everybody. Can you believe it?
Yes.
I can.
Yeah.
Hal, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Do you have anything that you want to plug? You've always got a bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah. I just had a book come out 2 weeks ago. It's the Apprentice Academy Knights, which is suitable for children, but it's a book about knights from myth and legend, and it aims to teach children the lessons of how to cheat your way through life using the cheats that knights. So it's kind of a book you want to give to your neighbor's children and not your own, because it's explicitly a bad influence. And if you are a grown up, may I mention the book which came out last year, Impossible Histories, which is 20 alternate history scenarios.
I read that book. It was fantastic.
Thank
I could play the bumper again.
Both these books are from Macmillan, so they're real books you can purchase anywhere books are sold.
Yeah, I gave Impossible Histories to my brother for Christmas, and my dad spent a good chunk of Christmas Day reading parts of it. So
nice.
It's a good book. It's a great book.
And if you write reviews online, and whoever you are, and let me know, I will give you a personalized sketch on an index card.
Cool.
What could Hal Heads ask for more than that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, hopefully we'll have you back soon, Hal.
Yeah, so I guess I got to find another bad movie.
Wow, there are only so many. That's a problem. I'm pretty sure we're going to run out in the next 10 episodes.
Snowball Express.
Yeah, there's Snowball Express. And next week, obviously, we've got with our special guest, our first ever returning guest, Preston Spurlock is going to be back. And we are going to be talking about the world's greatest sinner.
I'm excited.
Our election year special. So listeners, make sure that you tune in for that one. And now I'm going to plug our stuff. You know how I do it. You know you've got your phone in your hand. You're about to press stop. You're about to press pause. You're about to fast forward. Before you do that, why don't you just press that 5 stars real quick? It's no big deal. Everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
I'd give you 5 stars. Yeah. And hey, if that's not your vibe right now, why don't you leave us a review? Or you could follow, or you could subscribe, whatever way your platform is for you to interact with us. Go for it. It all helps us beat the algorithm, brother. That's what we're trying to do here. Beat those algorithms. Now, if you want to get in contact with us, you can email us at favoritebadmoviepod@gmail.com. Maybe we'll get a mailbag segment going, or if you want to be on the show, or if we're looking to guest on other people's shows, if you want to have us on as a guest, or I don't want to volunteer the other guys, I'd be happy to go on. The other guys, you could talk, I don't know. And then
I will whore myself out anywhere.
Yeah, you can reach out to Hal, and I'll leave a link to Hal's Substack in our show notes. If you want to follow what Hal's doing, that's the best way to keep up with him. If you want to follow us on Instagram, you can find us on there, Your Favorite Bad Movie Pod. You can also find us on Blue Sky at favoritebadmovie.bsky.social. You can also in the links find a link to our Linktree, where you can get to our YouTube, where we've got trailers for upcoming episodes that have been cutting together. They're super fun. They'll give you a good idea of what's going on with the movie visually.
I love them.
They're great.
My wife's a big fan. Greg likes them. And we've also got a Discord going. We don't have a link to it, so shoot an email to that email address, and I'll shoot you an invite to the Discord. I'm not paying that $15 a month for a permanent Discord link, guys. Not at this point. Come on, let's keep it real.
Yeah.
And until next time, be good.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Rock and roll.
been dreaming of this moment since I was a boy, and a nickel-plated scalpel was my favorite toy. I may not be recognized by the medical community, but peer review and prizes aren't what matter to me at all. I may be clinically insane, but I don't care. I'm obsessed with brains. I want what's under your hair. You may be a pretty bird with a really nice behind, but I'm one cat who could care less. I only want your mind. If your stomach isn't strong, the details do get gory. But when you're down to lose your mind, just come on up to my secret laboratory. I'm a little bit crazy, but baby, don't you know that it's true? But put this dog brain into that dead guy's